Dear students, now we will be talking about this question number 81. Now this question is very, very important because they talk of your maturity. They talk of your social awareness. They talk of your mental balance. Do you know what is the basics in human body? The basics in the human body is HTS, where hunger, thirst, and the third thing when a mature body realizes is its copulation habit. So these three things are very basics. That is why you will find most of the reels which are related to drinking running very well. Most of the reels which are running on fooding running very well. Most of the reels which are coming on glamour running very well because they are hitting at our basics. Human existence is based on these three things. And these three things become not exactly very important, but for a wise person, he has to conquer these three things to evolve into a better personality. If you are still greedy and you are still stuck up in hunger and thirst or the desire to copulate, I'm sorry to say, you have not mastered the human existence. If you really want to serve as a leader. Leader is one who is able to set an example in front of the others. Leader is one who is able to prove himself that he is capable of something more than general things. Am I right? That is why they ask you, what is your view about live-in relationship? Now, live-in relationship, as you know, started in Mumbai. And why did it come up? What happened that there were a lot of professional artists. Actually, the genesis or the birth of this concept comes from cinemas. They come from people who are indulging in cinemas or they are big personalities. Why? Please tell me why. Because whenever you see a person in the cinema hall, particularly the Indians saw any actress, they always went into a vicarious kind of experience. Now what is vicarious? Means in their imagination. So that heroine which they were seeing in the movie was actually not a heroine on the film itself. There was a heroine which they identified with. That is why many a time, many heroines who identified that their popularity would be affected by marriage, they decided to hide their marriage. And thus came the concept of live-in relationship. Slowly and gradually, normal people started doing it. They also went for live-in relationship. They decided that they also will not marry a person. They will live with each other and see. Now, this is a very unstable platform. See, whenever two people will live, there will be differences, there will be problems. But if you are positive, the other person is positive, you all will live together. That's exactly what it is there. But this concept of live-in relationship started affecting the marriage, didn't it? Did it affect, yes or no? And what is marriage? Marriage is a stable social institution. And this was affected. And as a result, who suffered? The children. Who suffered? The instability of individual's mind. So therefore, live-in relationship was never appreciated by the court. When this problem went up to the Mumbai court, the Mumbai court took a decision, whether you marry or whether you do live-in relationship, the liability of relationship, that is the damages you have to pay, that is the maintenance charge which you have to give to the other person, will be the same. Now this was a wonderful decision because this discouraged this habit of live-in relationship. Otherwise people would have gone for live-in relationship and broken off their marriage. And remember, it is not the responsibility of only men to pay, it also applies to girl, provided who is earning more among these two. So live-in relationship, generally your view should be that, sir, I believe that it is not on the socially right perspective. Why? Question comes, why? See, if you are living in a world where you don't want to live by the social norms, you don't want to adopt social discipline, then unfortunately you will lose respect of the society and individuals thereon. So that is why we believe that we would like to have candidates who realize their responsibility towards society, they conduct properly as per society, and they learn to adopt procedures which are within the parameters of the society. That is why live-in relationship as a question is only to check whether you are extremely revolutionary or you want to live within the system. The people who are going to live within the system in the armed forces would be more appreciated than people who are going to be revolutionary and every time opposing people. This will destroy the system, destroy the discipline system of the organization. Is it clear to all of you? So that is why in live-in relationship, when they ask you, you have to tell that, sir, I believe that it is not fair and I think marriage should be there. There's no reason that one should have live-in relationship. In case they have doubts about each other, they can get engaged but marry later. But live-in relationship means developing physical proximity, mental proximity, and thereafter breaking the relation can be disastrous for the social mental health. Now, whatever I'm speaking wise. I'm sure many of you who are wise will also agree with it. So that is something which you can pick up. And I'm sure you must have read many great writers, social writers, saying about this. You can quote, unquote them, and thereafter you can tell your point. Hope I've explained the logic. Now we come down to legalized prostitution. Should we legalize prostitution? You know that in Europe and other countries, the prostitution is legalized. They have a system where they have a license. They give license to the sex workers. And they also educate the sex workers how to indulge in the prostitution so that they do not affect the society at large. India, unfortunately, has a social taboo. And because of this social taboo, a lot of people are indulging hideously, hidden wise. And as a result, AIDS, acquired immune deficiency syndrome, is more in number in India. And that is something which you have to learn. Are you understanding what I'm trying to tell you? Legalized prostitution is healthy. It will check rape cases. It will check disappearing of girls from the villages or other places. Because once they are there in the license, automatically where will they disappear? So that seems more probable. I'm teaching you wisdom. Now rest. You have to do it. Why I'm doing this? To mature your mind. Why is these questions picked up? To pick up your questions. It is not a daily process, but sometimes the officers may ask you. As per the history of training and mentoring, many candidates were asked all these different questions to check their approach towards social behavior. I never know. There may be a possibility that suddenly one case of in the newspaper has come the early morning and the interviewer asks you something related to that. So you should have these ideas. Now it comes about premarital relationship. Today the society is trying to be very free, allowing people to indulge in every relationship, but actually premarital relationship is lack of discipline on your own self. And when you are indulging in it, then it has repercussions. Because once you become later on settled, you find that okay, so-and-so is there, and then facing it, particularly in Indian context. I am not going to comment anything on America or UK or other places. In Indian, it becomes a source of embarrassment. So if you want to enjoy good respect, I think a little discipline can do you world of good. That is why you can say that I think that premarital relationship should be checked and person should abstain from it. And you can talk about yourself also, how you have decided that you would be getting into opposite gender relationship only after marriage. Next, they come about extramarital. That is totally wrong. When you've already committed and you believe that you have a commitment, though the court has allowed certain freedom lately, but it is not justified. Because when you're playing a role of trust, tomorrow when you become an officer, you will have to carry your personality with a proper decorum. You cannot indulge here and there. It will affect the respect which you receive from your troops. So, same thing in extramarital, I don't think it's very fair. If anybody indulges, he should immediately first file for a divorce, get the divorce and then indulge. That is the right process. At least apply for it so that it is justified that you are now over with that thing so that you now are going ahead with other relationship. Not before that. Otherwise, you are not living within the norms of the society and you are not behaving properly and you don't have a self-discipline. Now then it comes about women liberalization. What do you think about it? You know that women should be given freedom, of course, but they should be given freedom every time any child is given freedom, including you guys. You should be given education before giving the freedom so that you utilize the freedom rightly, not misuse it. You give a freedom to a small child without educating, the possibility of the child getting exploited, the possibility of the child misusing the freedom is there. Similarly, the girls who are being educated and given the general freedom earlier, the society had restricted them not for the sake of subduing them as it is generally perceived. Even the girls would be realizing that when the society grew up a bigger way, that is later Vedic age, they restricted the girls because they need protection. They are biologically born to be given to be the mothers of tomorrow. And when they have to be mothers of tomorrow, they need that due respect and protection. But unfortunately today, in the name of liberalization, in the name of creating a ripple in the sea, in the name of creating a movement, people talk of every and any issue without a head or tail. So that is why women liberalization came up. So I think you can answer that. Is it clear? Any doubts? Now we come down. What do you think about gay and lesbian marriage? Well, this is a very wonderful thing which I would like to educate you. See, gay and lesbian tendency is something very controversial, yes, but it is also psychological. That is also true. And when it becomes a psychological tendency, it disturbs the society. That is also true. So if somebody is gay and a lesbian, how will you come to know of it? Until unless you will allow them the freedom to admit that they want this kind of marriage. That is why very rightly the courts decided that we should allow them. If we will allow them, they will come forward. At least they will not disturb the normal family. Now imagine a gay getting married in a family system where he is not interested in that. Now this is cheating with the other social institution as well. So if he says I am a gay and he wants to have a different thing, it is justified. I am talking scientifically. I am not here to debate on religion factors. I am talking only the science which is the truth. And thus, if they say this and thereafter, with the help of psychological counseling or the way of helping them, we can get them back out of their psychological mindset and get them to the normal lifestyle. But till we don't recognize them or till they don't admit it, because it is such a personal behavior and such a hidden behavior that nobody comes to know. And these tendencies cannot be picked up easily. So, clear, not clear? Any doubts? So we can say that. Yes, sir, I feel it's okay, justified. You can give the reference of different writers who have been writing very boldly about it. Do your search, you will find it. What do you think about mismatching age marriage? Of course, it should not be there. People getting married to very young people, the longevity is less and there are difference of interest, and later on what does it do? It disturbs the social institution. It disturbs the social system. So you can say that. Sir, there should be a reasonable gap, not too much. Otherwise there will be always different expectation, aspirations and different tendencies. Then we come down to other kind of practices. Whichever you have learned, you should know about it. You should know how to handle your body. You should know how do you basically do that. That things you have to prepare. Now these questions can be asked, but generally it is avoided until unless you yourself have behaved so, or there has been a controversial issue which has come in the paper. So maybe the interviewing officer may ask you, just to pick up how balanced you are in your mind. Remember, if you are hungry, you may not listen to my class properly. Similarly, if you do not have control over your body tendencies, you will not be able to perform properly. That is why they ask you all such questions. They may ask you about disco, pubs. What do you think? See, everything is healthy within right parameters, right time, right style. I always believe excess is poison, and you all also will believe. I do not believe that there has to be very strictness about something, but the excess should not be there, because that becomes unhealthy and becomes harmful. Now, breaking of relationship, including divorce. Why does it happen? If they ask you, you can talk about it that, sir, I feel there has been an article on divorce which basically is coming up that people generally find that individual tendencies are different and they want to separate, and then they have issues. I often feel that all these divorces are manuscripted by either desire of freedom, or they are manuscripted by two families fighting for power. So if ever this fight of power becomes too much, then it becomes into a divorce. Like, for example, if the girl's parents are unnecessarily, brothers, sisters, are all playing a game of nonsense, not letting the girl settle down, or they don't want her to settle down, or they want to take the economical benefit of their girl, or they want to belittle the other person, or they want to punish the other person because of their own idiosyncrasies, their tendencies, their belief system, some episodes of things which has made them so agitated. Anything can happen. But if two wise people are wise enough to understand that they are responsible for the family, they are responsible for the children, they will never do this, and they will learn to restrict these extraneous variables which are only disturbing and nothing. You give them the liability, and then you will see the true colors. It is very easy to promote and create problems, but when you get the responsibility, you will not do it. So now, these all issues are not being discussed to impress anything. It is only been discussed to make you mature, to make you wise, so that if these questions are asked to you in the interview, you are able to answer them rightly. Is it clear? No other reason. You can have difference of opinion, provided the elements which you say in your difference of opinion should be logical and convincing to the interviewing officer. You can do that, no issues. You don't have to follow my path, you can follow other path also, because wisdom has many colors. You can do that. Now we come down to question number 82. What is your view about ragging, ill discipline, respect to elders, corruption and moral value? Now this is beautiful, because they are checking up your maturity again. Ragging, for example. Now you think you have very poor mental tolerance and you don't want to take anything more, and you feel anybody talking to you with disrespect means he is going to eat your respect. No. I want you all people to wake up. I was one day talking to someone and somebody said that if somebody abuses me, I get angry. Why? Because that is his language. You don't have to get abused regularly on a regular basis, but some 1-2 words of slips can be taken positively. Now, people who are oversensitive to respect, they are angry people, they have lack of wisdom. So I feel you should not be oversensitive to respect. You should be oversensitive to only your work and to the organization's final goal. But there are people who are very oversensitive. Then what happens? They get irritated. So ragging. What was ragging? Every time when you go into the organization, which is going to make you mentally tough, they will pull you up. Not for the sake of insulting you, but for making you mentally tough. So ragging is healthy to that limit. Yes, raggings have been stopped in the college because every time it could not have been monitored. Bad customs had come had arrived, and bad customs, the seniors were wrongly utilizing those customs for their benefit. So there automatically a system was created that there will be no ragging. But in an organization where you are generally to become mentally tough, it's okay, it's justified. It should be healthy. That is the right word. Now we come down to ill discipline. If you don't want to follow discipline of any organization or anything, then please become a Robin Hood or go out in the open and keep fighting like a person who's on the, what should I say, person on the run. But if you have to live in a society, if you have to live in an organization, if you want to earn bread for your family in a systematic way, you'll have to follow certain amount of discipline. And what is discipline? Discipline is regularity. respecting the elders properly, listening to others, doing things regularly. That's discipline. And if you think that you will disrespect the elders, then others will also not respect you. Similarly, in the armed forces, we have discipline. We respect the senior and we do not try to identify or analyze the other person in different shades of our choice. Many a time people use their shade of choice for selecting a candidate or belittling the candidate. It is wrong. If somebody is holding authority, you have to respect the authority. You have to respect the post and the individual sitting in that post. And when the new one comes, you will have to do that. That is it. Now, that has been for respect. Now we come talk about corruption and moral values. Now, what do you think is corruption? Corruption is misuse of power. Corruption is utilizing power for your own individual benefit rather than society at large or the organization. So, if you want to unnecessarily abuse your power, I think you are again ill-disciplined. So, you should have certain amount of limitations. And that is what they are expecting out of you. So, you should be anti-corruption. Everybody is. Now, they may ask you, how will you check corruption? See, corruption can be checked only by two measures. One, transparency of the phenomenon, so that everybody knows what is wrong, what is right. And when it is wrong, it should be punished. That's it. Now, what happens? How people do corruption? They do wrong, but they don't punish. Another thing, when they know that people will talk about it, so they hide the process on. They do things quietly. Like they give you a contract and they say, give me this quietly. So that is corruption. So if you want to really check corruption, I advise you two methods. Number one, create transparency in the system. And next, in case it is broken, punish the person. Punishment will automatically discourage the corruption. So now this approach of clarity by every one of you will be wonderful to understand. Is it clear? Now my question answers are basically going to guide you to certain answers which you will explore from your own mind. And you should. Because you will not be selected for my answers. You will be selected for your answers. Yes, every good answer has a wise commonality. That means the wisdom is common in each. So I am training you whatever little I can. So I hope you learn from this. Let's come to question number 83. When do you lie? They ask you. You do, don't you? Now you will say, no, sir, I always speak truth. It is not the truth. Sometimes you have to speak tactfully. That is, if there is a person, a fat lady asking, am I fat? And you just say, no, not so much. Why? Because you don't want to hurt the emotions. You understand the human element. You know that we cannot call a fat too fat. You getting the point? It may hurt the person and disturb the emotion. You are there to become a leader, to monitor, to encourage, to motivate people, not to discourage them. So therefore, lying at certain places is natural. But lying for every small trivialities, small things is harmful. So you should tell what is the truth. Give instance of that. So you will have to give the instance example that differs from individual to individual. Similarly, why you did so? Of course, you must be having a reason for it. Now imagine a robber coming to your home and you're going to tell them, okay, where is the money hidden? Okay, it's quietly in that, this. No. Because robber is negative, so you will act wisely and you will lie to him because it is appropriate. Minus into minus is equal to positive. With a negative character, you deal negatively. With a positive character, you deal positively. That is wisdom. So I think lying is not a problem, but you have to understand that. Don't you fear being caught? When you don't speak lies on the major areas, you speak lies only with emotions, not to hurt others. Even if somebody catches you, can tell them that, sir, I did it because I didn't want you to hurt the person. That's it. Now, if you lie for important thing, for excuses, for not completing work, that is harmful. Remember that. Have you been, what was your reaction when caught, where you punished, who did, what punishment you were given? Now you can tell that once I told someone you were looking good, but the other person said, no, you're looking, and then the person came down to me. I told that I didn't want to hurt you, and I told you, that is why I told you that I think you're looking good, but you should consider. Now there are sometimes girls, including our sisters, they come to us, am I looking good? Now trust me, we boys are mavericks. Do you know what is maverick? Means who does not care too much of norms. In a general style in terms of dresses. We wear something rough and tough and we walk out. Am I right? But girls are more careful and sort of punctilious about everything. They are very, they pick up. This is looking good. Red dress I am wearing, so I should have a red ribbon. We may not bother about it. So if I tell our sister or somebody that how are you looking? You're looking good, but you should consult mama, or you can consult mother, or you can consult the other sister, or you can consult the maternal aunt. She will tell you better. Because we know she would advise you rightly. So these kind of things do happen, don't you? So you can say that you did. Any punishment once wrongly judged, you may say. Is it clear? I would like to teach you, if you have still doubts, because these are all important issues which cannot be generalized in reaction. They cannot be generalized. That requires deep thought from you. And if you still have problems with your deep thought, you can get back to me. And trust me, I will help you with the best of my intentions and of course to benefit you. Let's go down to question number 84. Where are we? Just a second. Yeah, when do you get angry? Give instance of that, along with tell the reason. Do you feel it was justified? How you control anger? Now see, anger is common to a person who is very, very pampered or very, very unrealistic. Because everything they want to control. Anger comes from control. When a person wants to control you, everything you want to do, which is unfortunately wrong, convincing is a better point rather than controlling you. When they will convince you, that also requires logic and common sense. You automatically will do what is right. But there are some times that people like to control you. They want to make you sit, stand up, sit down, stand up, sit down. They must have lived in a bad atmosphere. I know of a family where ladies to men want to control others. They don't want to control their own nonsense. They want to control others. And when they see a person growing, out of nowhere, they want to control them more. And these kind of individuals are a pain in the wrong place. They are people who are disastrous, they are nonsensical, and when it comes to them, then they realize what big errors and mistakes they have done in their life. They like to control. Life is not to be controlled, but to be lived freely. Even in the armed forces, we discipline the mind. We don't discipline people with the help of chabuks. When we discipline the mind, they automatically go wild. And what is the rule of the disciplining? Common sense, logics, right rules. We don't create stupid rule that today I want you to dance in the open, in the winter time also, just wear the undergarments and dance. No, we talk sense. It's a winter time, dress properly. We believe in discipline, not for control, but for convincing. But there are some people who live in half-educated world. I know of a complete family and set of people, highly erratic. They want to live freely, but they want to manipulate others. And these kind of people are horrible in terms of their day-to-day dealings. And they suffer. They have to suffer. They are destined to suffer. Because they don't understand that it is not control, it is convincing which matters. And convincing also requires them to compromise on logics. They cannot play their whims and fancies that for me you do it, but I will not do it for you. Why? Why don't you come to a common point that I will do this, you also do this. When you don't want this, this is the time when hypocrisy stops, the control comes in, convincing goes away. Armed forces runs on army rules, but it also works on convincing people. telling them that this is important. And whenever there has been too much control in the armed forces, we have seen some incidents lately where people who were hypocrite were suffered objections. So same thing, you should not be angry. Number one, why? Because you understand. Anger comes from false beliefs. Anger comes from illogical thoughts. And anger is something, if you are wise, you will never feel much anger because you will immediately understand. Suppose I get angry or say loudly to others, one can understand that at this point of time I am saying I am disturbed or I am saying loudly. So at that point of time they can become cool. No, but there are some people who want to always control you and say, you keep silent and listen to me. That is the time when bad episodes happen. That is the time when illogically, when people behave, that things go bad. So anger is something which can be controlled, it can be understood. You may feel angry, but then you understand that this is the situation. Suppose I am shouting and you feel angry about it, but if you are wise, you will understand that I am shouting at some issues. Maybe I am disturbed in certain motion. If you have patience, and after say an hour later you will talk to me, I'll talk sense, and then you will realize that there was no need to be angry that time, and you rightly did not get angry. But there are some people who will not have the patience. They want others to be controlled. That is the time when anger multiplies. Always hypocrisy invites anger. Today the world is getting against American ways because of hypocrisy of America. And that is the extreme level. So you should not be hypocrite, you should be sensible, you should be wonderfully logical. That is how it will be, and it will be a long-term game. Now here, give instance of that. You can give along, tell for the reason along with tell for the reason. Why did you get angry? Well, sometimes what happens, even sometimes you see traffic jam and you find it stupid. So what do you do in that case? What do you do in that case? You just come out and solve it. Now you don't take out a gun and shotgun and take out and fire. Similarly, you don't go and hit out. These are all idiots. Remember, wise people have more patience and they have less problems of short temper. But unwise people, stupid people have more problems of short tempers. They pick a post and they get arrogant. They think I am the best. And that is the time when they start showing tantrums to others. You know, when you are wise, that such situational differences, circumstances may be there. So you'll manage. You'll never get angry. Now, how do you feel it was justified? It is never justified when you did anything wrong out of anger. But yes, sometimes you become firm in your dramatism, particularly in discipline control. Excuse me, you're not going to do this. You may sound angry, but you are not angry actually. You're becoming firm. You do that. If you have really done some duties like house captain, class monitor, anything, you must have done that. You actually don't get angry, but you become firm. Look at the technical difference. Firm. Firm speaker. That is something. And if you ever have control anger, how do you control anger? If you sometimes feel funny that this boy is behaving so, and how stupid of it, because you can be wise, you cannot take guarantee of others being wise. What do? At that point of time, you try to understand the others and you try to understand that this person is disturbed. And thereafter, what do? You keep your cool, you listen to him, you make him relax, and then once he is relaxed, then you talk logical. Am I right? This is the way you manage? Yes or no? So this is how it should be done. And this is, by the way, not only an answer, but it is also counseling to all of you who throw tantrums. Stop doing it. It's not fair. It's not going to take you anywhere. It will cost you your respect. It will cost you your life. It may also cost you your peace. So remember that. Now we come down to question number 85. Did you ever steal? If so, when and why? Relate the full stance. Well, I think stealing is something which you should have never done. And I believe that if you did also, you would have done small things like eating sweets or taking away quietly the pencil or rubber from your sister or brother in your family to do a purpose because they were not allowing you, so you quietly took it away and used it and returned it back. Now that's the whole process is not stealing. The whole process may be seen as stealing, or maybe your brother may be saying that you have stole and then did it. This may be there. This is all child games, and this is not stealing. But if you really did steal money from your father's purse, or if you really stole from other friends' purse, I think it's time you corrected your behavior. Disciplining of thoughts, nothing is worth stealing. Nothing is worth stealing. If you have a great mind, you will automatically learn from observation, and you learn how to control, and you learn how to create, and you learn how to earn. You will not require stealing. So greed can be well monitored in that dimension. Is it clear? So if they ask you, you can tell this, or whatever it is, you have to decide. Now we come down to question number 86. Do you get confused? If so, when and why? Give instances when you experience so. Do you get nervous? If so, when and why? Give instance. Now I have combined both this confusion and nervous together. See, confusion is but natural if you come across identical twins. Confusion is but natural when you have two options and you have to select one. But don't you think that you have learned over these 16 years plus of your life that whenever you have such options, you have to concentrate on identifying which option is better. In case you require, you go down and consult your father, or you consult other people to gain more information and then select. But if you stay in that dilemma for long, what are you doing? You are hampering the movement, you are hampering the activity, you are hampering the productivity. So therefore, confusion is not a good thing. If you have good speed of decision making, you will automatically find that sometimes when you get different things, you learn, okay, this, okay, I'm going for this. Why? Because this logic. Now that does not mean that the other is bad. You have preferred something. Like you prefer some color, you like it attractive. Fine, go ahead. Now you don't have to say that color is bad. It's okay, it's your choice. Similarly, there are certain things which are logically picked up. So there is no confusion. Confusion remains in people who do not get encouragement to decide, who do not learn the process of decision making, who do not identify that decision making means at least deciding on something. These people suffer with confusion. Now, if these kind of people land up becoming officers, what are they going to create? They're going to create a lot of problems in the organization. So we don't want people to be confused. They should be clear cut. If you don't know anything, just say, sorry sir, I don't know. Rather than confusing yourself or trying to say something. If you are unclear also, you have doubts that you are right, tell them, sorry sir, I do not recall. But don't give wrong answers. And don't try to confuse, oh, I am sorry, I got confused. Don't. Nobody is giving you sympathy. Nobody is giving. As a leader, you don't want sympathy, and you should not want. You should not say, sir, I have read, but I am a little confused. Now, here, you have not come for a sympathy session. You come here for taking decision and deciding. Is it clear? So you can give this instance. You must have learned this early in your class, 7th, 8th, 9th, whatever, when either your father or a teacher must have taught you that if whenever you get confused, you please don't do this, do this, do this. What I am telling you, you must have learned it. So tell that instance. Next, do you get nervous? If so, why and when and why, and give instance. I'm sure whenever a person learns, he or she learns from observation. He or she learns from experience. Whenever a person has things of importance to decide, nervousness or little anxiety is natural. But then you must have learned from your teacher or your parents that no, this anxiety on the higher side will disturb the performance. So you have to stop being nervous, you have to relax your soul, relax your mind, become calm, and do it. Now, this quality of nervousness is against the quality we want as a leader, as an officer, or written in OLQ, which we say calm and composed. Both confused and nervous. Calm and composed. Whenever you are calm and composed, you will always take the right decisions and you will never feel the anxiety which is there with the nervous. Is it clear? So we don't want you to be showing symptoms of nervousness. You should relax. One easy tip which I always give every candidate is believe that you may not get recommended in the SSB. So keep no anxiety. You know, when you have a gamble, then nervousness, doubt, fear, everything falls. Okay, dear students, let's talk about your question number 87. What do you do when you get two different and contradictory options? How do you decide then? See, whenever you get two contradictory options, you have to do a comparative study and you have to analyze and thereafter decide. Now, this can purposefully be done to identify your quality, speed of decision. When they will give you two contradictory options and they will tell you which you will do. So you should have a logic for selecting any of the option. Suppose they say, okay, you've got today's time and we want you that you are 30 people. What game you would like to play? Football or you would like to play badminton? Now, what is very beautiful answer is football. Why? Because we are 30, so we can divide and make it a team. But if we play badminton, there will be only two people. So anything which is logical can be applied. So you will be able to decide at least one of the things. Thus, you will be able to prove that you are able to take decisions. So whenever you get contradictory options, means two options, you have to be comparative, analytical, prove your analytical ability, show that you take good decisions and you are able to solve. So how do you decide? That is what is an example. Now you can do this for n number of things. Thereafter, I am sure you will do it. Question number 88. What do you do when you get two different and contrary? This I think has been repeated. So let's go down to question number 89. We will do 101 in case this mistake has happened with the team. Nevertheless, what is your view about what is the need of defense forces? Whether women should be allowed permanent commission, if so, why? If not, why? Reasons for corruption, scandal. Now, what is the need of the defense forces? First, let's answer this question. The need of the defense forces to adopt ourselves to do technological advancements, because the present warfare have become totally technical. So, if we really multiply that, we have to make whatever the people who are personally available should be taught to make them ready for the new requirements, because we cannot do recruitment, so we have to utilize the old man force and make them relevant. So the entire personnel in the armed forces can be utilized to train that. I think this is a good answer. You can think something more, you can do that. Now there are some people who start talking of welfare, that we should give this. No. Experts and champions never think of welfare. They think of competence. And whenever you are competent, you will automatically get everything. So where is the problem? So remember that some people, they have a habit, they do less and they ask too much of rights. And the people who are capable, they do their duties so much, then automatically they get the rights. So remember this approach. Now next, whether women should be allowed permanent commission. Of course, why not? When technological warfare will come in, it will be the mind which will be required to be trained. In the earlier times, it was the sword, it was the physical power which was important. But today, when technological, so girls can also contribute. So there's nothing wrong. And if we have trained them and thereafter we keep them for short time, I think we are suffering in the training cost also. So we should utilize. Yes, we should have certain clear measures where the women do not use too much of compassion not to work properly. We should have certain accountability factors. Because many a time, because of a new judicial system, we generally feel that many times some people, I'm not talking about all the girls, I'm not talking about all the females, I'm talking about few of them, they use this concession unnecessarily. So that rule should be there so that they can work efficiently and they should be given permanent commission. Now, so why? I've already told you. If not, why? Well, in case the girls, for example, take too many of holidays, and every time they make up certain alibis, we should have certain restrictions. Automatically, this is going to improve. Now you will say politics. Why politics? Armed forces has to be a disciplined organization with minimum of politics and maximum of understanding. Or security of the nation cannot be compromised and should not be compromised. Why do you think reasons for corruption scandals? You will realize that wherever certain transparency is missing or punishment system is missing, and you will always find that wherever political participation is there, civil participation is there, there only you find certain amount of corruption and scandals. So I think we should utilize these episodes to learn, to master our system, and to make better rules so that we can check them. So I think that can be controlled. It also has to be understood, if the society at large has huge amount of corruption, certain amount of influence will also be there in the forces. So we have to identify that this is the condition, but we want to protect our forces, so more better rules and more efficiency should be advocated. Is it clear? Now we come down to your question number 19. Tell me about your dream and desires. If granted 5 wishes from God to come true, what you would like to do? Now this is a beautiful question, because this will go into your heart. They will identify how your heart runs. The best heart is that heart which not only runs totally on desire but also on wisdom. And that is a better and pure sustainable heart. Suppose I get the freedom to dream, and I think out of my heart that I should be the most powerful man in the world with nothing to do. I think I am only thinking of dreams but not of wisdom. So whenever I dream something, and when we are told to ask for God wishes, we should ask things which is practical, which is feasible, which is matching, and which is reasonable. So when we ask God, what are we going to ask? You all guys who have come here, particularly students, you would like that you get selected first in the armed forces, and thereafter you go into the training. Thereafter you would like that once you get start getting payments, you would like to take care of your parents, build a good house for them, along with help your brothers and sisters for a good career. And thereafter you would also like later on to buy a bike or a car, and thereafter you would also like to settle down in a nice way and teach and educate and create a better legacy. Yes, that is relevant. Similarly, people who are serving persons, their first thought process at the present moment would be to get recommended and thereafter join the forces and become an officer, and after becoming an officer, evolve themselves, also take care of the children, take care of the parents, whatever you want to. I mean, it has to be sequential, it has to be practical as per everyone's heart. Now you get freedom of dreaming. You cannot dream that you would like to become Donald Trump or you would like to become Narendra Modi. I think that will look very bizarre. It will look very, it will look very childish also. So I think you should think reasonable, and these 5 desires should be something which should make you competent, stable, and giving you the platform so that you can work and manage your living. So this can be one of the suggestions.